Have you ever wondered about the psychology of a Gen X car enthusiast? Stick around. That's what we're going to get into on Unity Motorsports Garage, and it's going to be a fun one. Gen X generation was born from 1965 through 1980, and I am a late Gen Xer. The world in which we were born and raised into affects our outlook on vehicles and how we pursue them and how we bond with them. I have often said that I am an analog guy living in a digital world, and that is the truth. When I was born, it was an analog world. You had carburetors on cars, no fuel injection. So the world in which we were born and raised into is completely different than any other generation after us or before us. And the reason why I say that is so much has changed throughout the world. Technology has changed. Everything has been sped up. And so when looking at Gen X as a group, we are the bridge generation. What do I mean by bridge generation? Well, we have ties to the greatest generation, which is the Great Depression era folks and the Great World War II folks, my grandparents. And I was instilled with a lot of values from my grandparents: respect, being trustworthy, loyalty. All of those things came from my grandparents and my parents. We're also the bridge to the millennials and Gen Z group. The younger generations, they will automatically group us as saying we're boomers. Nope, we are not boomers, okay? We're feral. We are the feral generation. Most of us, when we were growing up, our parents were working 2 jobs and we were left home alone for quite some time. When we were growing up, watching TV, cars were just as much as an actor as the actors themselves. We grew up watching TV shows such as Moving On, Chips, The A-Team. These television shows that we grew up watching, Dukes of Hazzard, you can't forget about that. You had the star actors, but also what was key elements in every one of those shows was the vehicles that the people were driving. It gave us something, these young kids, something to aspire to have one day, and thought, man, that is super cool. We are the last generation to have been bored. What do I mean by that? Well, back in our day, if you wanted to amuse yourself, you had a Rubik's Cube, or you played outside. Oh yeah, by the way, we are the first generation to get video games. The Atari 2600 was groundbreaking, followed by the Nintendo. But the difference was we did not live on those video game systems. We were constantly outside. And when I talk about boredom, there's 2 things that can come from boredom: creativity and mischief. And in my experience as a car enthusiast, my boredom got turned into creativity, whether it be using a Matchbox car out in the backyard making paths and roads, or hopping up my go-kart so that it would do 50 miles an hour along with my brother, learning the ins and outs of how an internal combustion engine actually works and functions with that little 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton. That's where I got my start. But I also learned the basics of hands-on mechanics, learning how to work on my bicycle. We were bored. We did not have nothing else to do. We did not have a cell phone where we could scroll hours and hours on end mindlessly. We went outside and did things. And so when we did this, it created our core memories, okay? Riding in the car in the early 1980s, everyone had a station wagon. You ride in the back and getting all of the fumes. Seatbelts were not a thing, okay? No one wore their seatbelts back in the day. Another weird, intricate thing that we dealt with is when we were coming up, the 85 mile per hour or speedometer. Now think about this. Every car in the early 1980s only registered 85 miles per hour. Why was that? It was federally mandated. There was actually a 55 mile per hour speed limit throughout the country. Now there's some areas of the country that was a little bit different, but I remember how much of a big deal it was when the speed limit went from 55 to 65. That was huge. And then some areas it went to 70. I want to talk to you about something that's pretty near and dear to my heart. Breast cancer affects 1 out of every 8 women in this country. Basically, that means we know someone or have known someone that has breast cancer. A few years ago, my sister-in-law, Trisha, is a breast cancer survivor, went through and it's totally in remission now, and found out a while back that a really good friend of mine, Star Dellinger, now she grew up right beside me on Raleigh Road over here in Dallas, North Carolina. And we were 2 peas in a pod. She was like the sister that I never had. And we remained really close throughout junior high and into high school. She wound up marrying a buddy of mine, Ricky Hill, that I drag race with. Just won the truck wars race this past weekend or past Thursday. I don't normally do this, but I'm asking you if you can spare the money. And right now money is really tight. I get that. I have put the link to a GoFundMe in the description of this video to help her and Ricky during this time frame. So if you could spare just a couple dollars here or there, please go down, donate, leave a note, and because it's my goal that we can make a difference here on this platform. So Star, I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you, and let's get back to this video. We look forward to getting our driver's license because getting our driver's license meant freedom. It meant that that car all of a sudden become our social media of the day because we could go and connect with friends. We grew up in a world without GPS, so we automatically had to learn from memory where we were going. I may not have known the actual road names, but I could give you landmarks and get you there. But our perception of how we view things is quite different than the boomers and the Gen Z and late millennial crowd. Growing up, we seen the boomers have these elaborate show cars. I mean, great. And always you go see the window sticker and they have, you can look but don't touch. Guess what? Gen X invented patina, okay? We're more of the generation that is just get it running good enough and we will drive the wheels off of it. Now, here's the difference. We can still appreciate those fine cars. We could go drag something from the woods and have the same appreciation for it just by getting it running. Now, there's exceptions to every rule. There are some young kids out there that have an old soul. And then there's some older folks out there that still trying to live like they're 16 years old, and they have an appreciation for the newer things as well. That's another aspect. When we were growing up, we seemed to transition from carburetors to fuel injection and technology evolving. Back when we were growing up, 225 horsepower was pretty much king of the day with the Fox body Mustang. You had the F-body Camaros and Firebirds with 235 from the Tuneport 350s, but we had to make do with the power that we actually had. And that's where guys like Tony DeFeo and the 10-minute tune-up came about with the Fox body Mustang and the EFI. We all learned terminologies in the Fox body world like A9LP, A9L. You learn about mass airflow sensors, 24 pound fuel injectors. And so some of the technology or thought process transferred over to the fuel injection, but not always. So even growing up and going through the fuel injection phase, and I embraced it wholeheartedly up until probably my middle to late 20s into my 30s. And I decided, you know what? Carburetors are much easier to deal with, so I reverted back because you know why? I'm familiar with it. I remember rebuilding my first carburetor when I was like 12 years old, Holley 4150, an original 4779 750 double pumper. Done it by reading a book, okay? It's interesting to know that I've been paying attention driving down the road. When we were riding down the road as kids, the windows being down, didn't have air conditioning in most of the cars, and if you did, my grandparents wouldn't even run the air conditioning, but you would stick your hand out the window, feel the air. And so today, when I'm driving down the road, I tend to notice people who actually have their window down. And guess what? It's people that are near my age or maybe a little bit older, because there's something that happened when we were growing up. That's a core memory for us of having the window down, because riding in the car was more than just getting to the destination, okay? It was the journey, the air, feeling the air on your body, directing the airflow with your hand, simple things like that. And so I challenge you, when you're riding down the road and you see the window down, take a glance and see how old that person is, or how old you think that person is. You really have to give credit to the Fox Body Mustang for creating the second coming of the muscle car world. Now, the boomers will say Fox bodies and Camaros are not muscle cars. Get over it, boomer. We didn't have intermediate cars when we were growing up. The pony car was the last performance option standing, okay? So I still refer to it as a muscle car. Even by definition, it wasn't an intermediate like it was back in the 1960s with the GTO, Chevelle, Roadrunner, Fairlane, you get it. But if it wasn't for the Fox Body Mustang during this time frame, it ushered in a new era of performance. Companies, it formed a whole group of aftermarket companies supporting that platform. And I remember back in the day, you had to get a bargain hunter from the store and look through for used parts, or go to a swap meet. And that's where I learned how to haggle. We have witnessed things go full circle. You know, we went from 225 horsepower, and now 1,000 horsepower is obtainable, and people have become jaded with this power. And on the YouTube world and everywhere else on the internet, if you don't have 1,000 horsepower, you're not in the game. And that's a lie, okay? I have witnessed Sambo Price, Jason Black, Jody Harris, Ricky Hill, all of my buddies that I grew up with in high school that were into racing. Now, Sambo Price had a pro mod. Now, mind you, this is probably 15 years ago that he was running this car.
Sambo Price. Not afraid to heat the highs on old Camaros. I run a 419, 167 miles an hour, and he didn't have all the candles lit.
Well, he recently put together a simple Fox body for his son to drag race, and he brought it to Shady Side, and it only runs like 880s. But guess what? All of those guys were hovered around that Fox Body Mustang just like they were when we were in high school. There's something about, even if it's stock or near stock, or it takes us back to our core memories, and it's still fun. We can have fun no matter what kind of car we're in. You know, our outlook on building cars is completely different. You know, like I said, this is just through my lens. I hope you got something from this, because I feel like this is just a complete ramble, but yeah, Gen X, we're just completely different.